This episode of Commander's Log is brought to you by Geek Renaissance. Need that special gift for the nerd in your life? Love supporting small business? Look no further than Geek Renaissance. The artist Sephra makes all items by hand and will boldly go to the final frontier for your unique gift. Head over to geekrenaissance.company.site and use the code FLOBITO, that's FLOBITO, to get 10% off your order. Don't forget to follow, like, and share Geek Renaissance on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
What is going on, everyone? It's your boy Flobo Boys, and this is, I guess, the engine room of the USS Post Show. This is Commander's Log, your one-stop shop unofficially for Star Trek Discovery news and notes. But as always, I'm not alone. I'm just the first officer. Every post-show ship needs a captain. Please welcome from Starbase 80, Captain John Weber.
Yeah, baby! Oh, down there in the bowels of the SS Post Show.
Yeah.
How's it smelling? How's it smelling down there, Flo?
Damp. Incredibly damp. Yeah, I'm actually visiting family on the East Coast. It's a very dark 7 p.m. here. And it's kind of a trippy thing because I usually watch Star Trek when daylight's out. So
yeah. You're feeling like a real Californian out there, huh?
I know. My blood is so thin. Can you believe this? It's cold for months on end? That's how they do it here? My word.
I got friends up in, I think it's Western Mass. They got snow. Are you guys any precipitation?
So not in New York now, but I went to go visit some friends in like central Jersey last night, and there was ice and frost in the car. So we went out for a dinner party, came out, I had to de-ice the car before I left. I was like, oh yeah, I missed this. Not.
Oh my goodness. Well, hey man, we're normally California guys, so this is kind of exciting. We did get rain out here on the West Coast here, and it was kind of nice. It's long gone. Sun's come out, dried everything up, but you know how it is. I'm an old man. Talking weather actually excites me.
Oh,
I'm
it's gonna
done.
be a hot one. Am I right? No.
Woo!
John Weber from the Weber Internet Thingy. Oh, what's up, S4E4? Welcome. Hey.
Yeah.
And Weber Thingy, your sister show, Starbase 80. We go through classic Trek every Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Pacific. How's that going for you so far?
Oh, so much fun. Oh my God. I love this show. We are, I love it so much. I'm actually planning out 2022 so that we will be doing episodes that will take you up to the beginning, the debut of season 2 of Picard. And then as soon as we've got that going on, we'll take you up to the season premiere, the series premiere of Strange New Worlds. Every time we get a little indication of something that's going to show up in one of these two series, we will be watching shows that will set you up for that. So we're going to see some episodes with Q. We're going to see some DS9. Ooh. We're going to see so much classic Star Trek, especially to get us ready for Captain Pike and his crew. I'm so excited about Starbase 80, but really most excited about Commander's Log here today.
Let's get going.
What an episode. What an
episode. Season 4, episode 4. All is possible. It's like one of those motivational posters you see in your gym class as a kid. Whatever, bro.
A K-Tab.
yeah, keep on hanging.
Hang in there, baby.
So overall thoughts of the episode. We're 4 episodes in season 4. What do you think of the rhythm? Do you like it? You're not liking it? You kind of miss Linus? What's the deal?
It's really interesting. And we did get, I think, a member of Linus's species, I think, shows up in this. It's not Linus. But this was an interesting episode because, again, this is 2 in a row for me where it's not all positive.
Right. Oh, go on.
There are issues. I had issues with this
Breaking news, John has issues. Tell a friend.
Oh, and this is rare because I love this show. I'm usually blanket. Like, I just love this show.
Yeah.
But Discovery is doing a lot of different stuff. And that's interesting too. Like, even the stuff I have issues with, I still find incredibly interesting.
Yeah. So actually, dealer's choice. You want to start with the negatives first or the positives first?
Well, let's start with positives. Let's
Okay.
start with positives.
Here's something I really love then. His was the political intrigue. And it kind of goes
Yeah.
lockstep with a recent episode of Starbase 80 here.
Mhm.
We have a little bit of a peace treaty happening between the homies of Navarre and that dope new Starfleet Federation life. You know what I'm saying? And poor Admiral Rance had we thought, allegedly, an intestinal, which I had to look up. It's kind of gross how this thing has to gestate in your stomach. I liked it because it was political stuff and a little bit of a mystery. John, walk me through this. What do you think about this particular storyline, this episode?
If you want to know about politics
Oh,
in
thanks for speaking.
2021, and who does?
Who say no more, bro? Yes.
I mean, don't we get enough? But
there's too little politics everywhere these days.
But it's really interesting how they break it down in this episode in a way that you can kind of understand where everything is right now. And that is, there are seemingly two sides, but within each side, there are forces that will pull that side apart if our leader does not do what they say.
Right.
So what we've got with Navarre, and I believe it's like the old school Vulcans, if I remember this correctly.
They're unified Vulcan Romulan state.
Yeah, like all together. They are the unified descendants of Vulcans and Romulans. Skipping ahead for one line, Michael Burnham actually says at one point, like, you guys got so far apart, you forgot you were the same species.
Damn!
Boom! Dropping that mic.
You people are like, no, I'm just kidding.
Bam!
This is wrong with you people. They don't know that.
This Riemann at the front table knows what I'm saying.
Yeah, seriously.
So you've got this faction within the faction that's kind of pulling them in a direction. That's kind of a spoiler there. But it also is reflected on the Federation side that there are forces within the Federation that are like, no, can't make a deal because it'll make us look weak and we can't go in that direction. We have to defeat these other people. Yeah. And this winner take all attitude is going to ruin everything.
Well, before we get to that in a second, the idea, I was expecting a different kind of episode of having Admiral Vance not even involved and having Michael Burnham and Saru show up. And I thought, there's going to be a situation where it's going to be a big bicker scene, and then Michael Burnham will stand up and be like, guys, let's all work together. But when the first standing up happens in the first act, I'm like, go on, show. You subverting a trope.
They do that several times in this episode, subverting tropes. And that blew me away. I was so pleased by that. So that's another big positive in the positive column. Skipping over to Tilly. Tilly's storyline. At first it's very tropey. So she's still trying to find herself. Still not comfortable being who she is, when she is, what she is. This is all kind of understandable. Yeah. People go through this. And so Tilly is requested to go to Starfleet headquarters where she talks with Kovich. You get that right?
Well, to get a little step in there, like, she's going to therapy, and Culber's like, you know what you do? There's this guy looking for things. I put you in there, basically, with Kovich. And she was like, you think I should do it? And he goes, go find yourself, girlfriend. And she does. You're like, hey there, psychiatrist. Why are you giving me work? Should be my question. But Tilly was all about that life. You know what? I'm down for this adventure.
Hey, even later in the episode, Culber says, look, I'm not an actual counselor. So I can break all kinds of rules.
Which is not assuring at all, because he has like two clients, right? Tilly and Book being like, I'm a quack.
It's crazy. No, it's like he's like the life coach of space.
Oh, dude, that's an aspirational thing, man.
I mean,
only a space life coach.
Is there anybody better, too? Yeah. I mean, Culber is just one of these. Oh, we see some extra layers in him too. Like he's like his deal. There's a deal there. There's something that he needs to work on too. Right. And he admits to that, which is great. That's very human and very kind and very giving to do that. But it's also a little foreboding, which I love.
You know what? I love. Actually, we'll put a pin on the Summit storyline for just a second. Let's talk about Tilly a little bit,
Sure.
because last week on this very show, you talked about Tilly, and you were a fan of Tilly since day one. Sylvia Tilly, ensign, doing the Commanders
Do
program, but
love her.
you had a little bit of an inkling. You had a little bit of a spark, a little bit of a feeling in the bottom of your stomach. Go, I don't feel too sure. I feel like some lines have been shifted to Adira and other characters. I don't think Tilly is stable. And well, what do you think, John? Were you right the entire time?
I was so right. I was
Yes, you
so
were.
100% right.
Mhm.
Oh my God.
Mhm.
Me and a broken clock twice a day.
2
We're
times, baby.
right. It's weird. It's really weird they set this up. I like Adira no matter what. Like any flavor of Adira we get, I'm happy with.
Okay.
And so, but they've made her the like happy, smiley, bubbling, babbling, very funny
Yeah.
character. And I
You don't
loved
sound like you're
Tilly.
impressed.
Well,
He's
I
very
mean-
funny. Hilarious.
I mean, look, I'm an older person, so
Yes, you are.
somebody who is the age of what's the actress's name? It's Blue Cantrell, I think.
Yeah.
And as somebody who is Adira's age, always scares me because
What's
of
up?
the criticism, the like,
Off my lawn.
the ability to cut me with the criticism. Okay, I guess you're really cool or whatever.
Right. Okay, boomer. Yeah.
Okay, exactly.
You're
That's
like,
it.
I'm Generation X. Ah!
Hey, man, we made Led Zeppelin famous. Stop making fun of us.
Right.
You wouldn't have Jimi Hendrix if it wasn't for us. Yeah, I mean, there is this feeling that if we have Adira, then why do we need Tilly? And that's a TV show thing. That's not even like a Tilly thing. So the
Right.
fact that she's going through this, I've been very uncomfortable with it because
Yeah.
I've been worried the whole time. Like, where you taking my Tilly? Where are you taking my sweet redheaded little funny girl? Where are you taking her? She's my girl. Where are you taking her?
She's my girl.
And you're replacing her with self-conscious teenager? I didn't order that.
Negasonic Teenage Warhead. Yeah, why not?
Good call. Good call. Negasonic, man. Good call. Wow.
So we'll get to the end of that storyline real quick, but the idea of Tilly being in this simulated captain's chair, because she was always on the path of being captain. Granted, it was a training exercise with cadets. You got a little bit of a slice of that. I mean, that must have been pretty cool to see a little bit of a small swan song in the bigger scheme of things.
We do hear reference to her Lieutenant Pips, and that makes a lot of sense. I mean, based on whatever any of us know about the military, we might have actual military in the audience. If so, awesome. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for your service. And thank you for being part of something really big that serves everyone. That's Star Trek. That's very Star Trek. What I loved about this was a lieutenant would be given this mission.
Right.
So this new title that she has now in the future, and that she's now a lieutenant, it totally makes sense that she would be running a very non-lethal, very typical kind of training exercise. And we have been teased already. Was it 2 episodes ago? Was it the first episode of the season when we it's basically the launch of Starfleet Academy.
Right. Yeah.
You know, or maybe not the exact launch, but we
Reboot.
meet. Yeah,
The reboot.
we meet Starfleet Academy and the class that they are putting together, and it's very exciting. So I was very happy that happened. And then she meets with Kovich, and you know me, I just love Canadian science fiction so much.
You mean like Stargate, like that Canadian stuff?
I love it. Stargate. It's all good. It's all good. I'm a big Sci-Factor Tales of the Paranormal fan. You know, I go way back with
Shout out
it.
to Canada, man.
All the Stargates. Still got to check out The Lost Girl. I hear very good things about The Lost Girl.
Okay.
But here's the thing that's really interesting. As soon as they bring David Cronenberg in, who is like Canada's master of horror. He's just like such a great filmmaker, such a great storyteller. And he's playing Kovich, who is like this. Now, when we first met him, I thought he was like this intelligence kind of guy. I actually thought he was Section 31 kind of a dude.
Yeah, I mean, he can still kind of be. This is not saying he's a good guy. He's just a guy who consults.
Right. Right.
What do I do? I help things get done.
Exactly.
Oh, Ray Donovan in space. That's cool.
I'm just here to ask questions.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, I wasn't sure what was going on, and I have in my notes, I'm so proud to say, I went, oh, I figured out the B story here.
Ooh,
Figured it out.
Tell me the B story. Figure it out. Tell me.
This is actually a test for Tilly to see if she's good at command. Everything about this is a hologram.
Whoa.
Had it all figured out.
It can't be a hologram. How do you find? Yeah, but I'm just saying, how do you find? I like the idea of a hologram, but Kovich doing it seems like a big elaborate thing. If that would be the case, he'd be like, you know what? I just going to ask you questions and then break you down and call it a day. You know what I mean? Like, I think
it's possible. It's possible. But every indication to me,
right,
up to a certain point,
right,
was, well, clearly the intelligence guy, the creepy, David Cronenberg guy, is putting her through some stuff. Yeah. And then the moment that theory broke was when one of the kids in Tilly's group goes, "Is this just a hologram?" And she goes, "No, this is real." And that's when I'm sitting on my couch with my pencil and my notes going, all right, well, that theory doesn't work. This is
asking
real.
Questions we're all thinking. No.
But that made it even better because, again, as you pointed out before, they're breaking some tropes here.
Right. Which made this episode so cool.
Yeah, would have been an incredibly easy way to go. And it was very exciting that they actually went, no, this is real. So now what do you think?
Stress Free K says, I thought that was all a setup too, until Tilly actually looked into the camera and says, nope, this is for real.
I mean, the only way that could have been better is if she ended it with John. I mean, that's how it was for me. Like, I was literally done writing it when she went, no. And as Kay points out, looking right in the camera, this is real. Deal with it. Now what? And then I was like, oh, well, I have no idea what's going to happen next. You tell me.
Total sidebar situation. How do you feel about Adira being with Tilly in this mission?
Again, this is the...
Go ahead. Speak your truth, brother.
You know what it is? And I'm really happy with the direction that they're taking because it smells of Frasier and Niles Crane.
That's not a reference you hear every day.
Frasier Crane that we knew from Cheers is this very erudite, snooty, effeminate, persnickety, not very masculine, not very impactful character. And compared to everybody else on Cheers, that's a unique character and it's very interesting. When they put him on his own show, they give him his brother Niles, who's more. Right. He's more of that than he is. So now Frasier's normal because Niles is more persnickety and more effeminate and more, can't handle stuff.
Right.
So my problem with Tilly was, well, Tilly is kooky. Tilly is wacky. And I appreciate that because Mary Wiseman does it so beautifully. Still makes it very serious and a lot of heart to it. And I love what Mary Wiseman does, but I don't love what Blue Cantrell does. So for her to be the Niles, I don't like that at all. I don't like the two of them together. I'm glad they get along. It makes sense they would. Yeah. But, they're both occupying this space that I think only one character should occupy.
You're breaking my heart, John. But let me ask you this. If you had the power of the pen and there was a way to make Blue Cantrell Adira's character in a way that will make sense in that dynamic and still not tick you off, what would you do?
Oh, that's a very good question.
I should be a host.
Yes, you should. Hey, Starbase 80 may be looking for a new host here. That's a very good question. What would I have her do? I think I know a lot of people don't see this as a strength, but I do, which is she is our Wesley.
Ooh.
She's our Wesley Crusher. And I like having a Wesley Crusher. I think having somebody who asks the questions, who needs to know, who pushes the investigations, who finds things that don't make sense, and who is uniquely talented. And these are all things that describe Adira. So again, I like her as a character. I think Blue needs more to do, honestly, as this character.
Fair.
And they may have set themselves up for that finally in this episode. So I'm very excited about that. But yeah, I thought it was cool that she's an ensign now. So she's an officer, even the lowest officer. And that she's got to answer to a lieutenant who is Tilly. And I love how Tilly handles her leadership as well. She just does it her way, where she's super positive and she's super nursery school teacher about it.
Right.
I just love that. I love that the kids aren't getting along. And I have to throw this in, speaking of Canadians.
What? Speaking of Canadians, what?
Speaking of Canadians, this reminded me so much of a MacGyver episode that I saw.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's ultra Canadian. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, Richard Dean Anderson. I could never figure out why my grandfather loved MacGyver. He didn't love fictional TV at all. He liked sports. He liked news. That was it. Why did he like MacGyver?
Well, like Jerry Seinfeld said, everyone's actually in their own head.
Well, that's true. That is very true. But my grandfather came from Canada.
Oh,
and so
right.
to
Halifax,
him,
right?
Yeah, Newfoundland, St. John's.
Yeah,
St. John's, Newfoundland. He'd go to Halifax all the time. He had his brothers in Halifax. But he's a coastal Canadian, and one of those guys who had stories about before Newfoundland was part of Canada, back when Newfoundland was its own country.
Right, I remember that.
Anyway,
not old person remember that. I remember reading about it. I wasn't that old. Okay.
And I've probably told you the story, so I tell that story a million times. But very, very proud of the Canadian heritage, the Webermen. Anyway, to get back to Star Trek Discovery, which is like 900 years in the future.
It's like Wolverine, Ryan Reynolds. What's going on? Okay,
but the episode of MacGyver was about how he was somehow on this plane with a bunch of like reform school kids, and the plane crashes, and he has to get them into a unit. He has to get them into a team. And they absolutely do not want to be a team, and they don't want to work together to survive. And it's the same thing. Therefore, I sit here and go, well, I've seen this.
Oh, yeah. So this is my problem with this. It's like, I understand that one, team building and icebreakers suck. I don't care what planet or dimension or year you're in. And I understand it's supposed to be the whole idea of like, there's bigger threats, like being on Kokatos, the L-class moon, and having the slug spider things. But to me, it was almost over the top. They're like, I'm with that person. This person's awful. It's like a modicum of professionalism. You have that uniform. Jeepers. You know what I mean?
That's a good point. That's a very good point. And, in the conflict they bring up, they really have to expand on, which they do, and explain that the one guy, I can't remember, the warrior dude with their tusks, that his family were victims of the Emerald Chain, and one of the kids is an Orion.
Mm-hmm.
And Orions are typically seen as all the pirates and the bad guys, but not every one of them is. And it turns out that his family actually was one of the families that spoke out against the bad Orions, the evil Orions, and suffered for it. And his father died as a political prisoner. We find that out, and that becomes
in a really awkward anime kind of way, where he kind of looks away And someone else tells this whole backstory. I was like, what? You won't give us his own character a chance to be like, my father did this. Like, that's a whole active motion for, okay, sure. I want to say, John Weber is a descendant of Canadian and Belgian men. And it's just like, why do I get to say that? What do I get off saying that?
That is such an anime thing. He might as well have done it with his back to the camera and then turned around with tears streaming down.
Leaves flying on the screen. I was like, okay, it's true, but all right.
My father died a political prisoner.
Right.
My impression of a key moment in anime. I appreciate where the whole thing ended up, mostly because it was so simple. It was so simple. The ship crashes here. There's a ridge over here. They have to get from here to there. They die almost like 3 or 4 times just trying to get from here to there.
Yeah. And one person actually does die.
Right off the bat. Right off the bat, we lose a kid. And that is, woof, you lost a kid. Did you ever hear, I had heard this many times, the reason why they never did the Starfleet Academy idea, which everyone had said, oh, come on, take Rom off of DS9, put him into Starfleet Academy, get some other kids together, and let's watch a Starfleet Academy series. And I wish I could remember which executive producer said it, but somebody said, we have no interest in putting children in danger every single week.
Oh, well, you're missing out. That's all CW's about.
Well, I mean, that's a good point. That's a good point because there's a lot of people making money doing that.
Stargirl, I mean, say no more.
Oh, no, that's a very good point.
Stress-Free K says, I think that guy was a Rastafarian, tell you right, whose family was harassed by the Emerald Chain. I think that 900 years in the future, there's still Rastafarianism.
I don't know his religion, but Tellarite could be quite yes, that could be right on the nose or the snout.
I see you did that because he got a snout.
Bam! Guy with the big nostrils getting it. Bam! Yeah,
oh man, puntastic.
But I really appreciated that storyline. I really appreciated because at first I was like, why are they so hostile right off the bat? Oh, because their people are, at full loggerheads.
Well, in the interest of time, they do make it out here. And this happens actually in the episode. If you guys haven't seen it, I apologize. Kovich goes, hey, a kid died, but do you want a job to Tilly? And Tilly goes, yeah. So explain this to me. You're Tilly. You had one of the most traumatic experiences in your life, and you got this opportunity to leave the ship. And she does for a particular reason. Take it away, John.
What's interesting is I hope I answer correctly.
Take it away, John.
the real reason for her to step up at this point is because she understands how much she's changed from where they were, and that her goal had always been that she wanted to be a captain, and she doesn't feel that way now. Yeah. And that her main reason being this rough relationship she's always had with her mother, who, as it turns out, was a diplomat. I never knew that. Her mom was part of the diplomatic corps of Starfleet. And she wanted to join Starfleet. She wanted to be a captain. She didn't want to be diplomat. She wanted to be science, exploration, military. And the great line that she says near the end is, what good is this if my mom's not here to see it?
Right. Because she wants.
I'm not proving anything to anyone now. So once you take that away, that's a very good call, Kay. Yeah.
Stress for a K says for those in the audio version, I think Tilly really felt in charge of the children and has more to offer them.
And that second part, I think, is the absolute key. Because who is she to anyone now? Is she just Tilly? Is she just like, the redheaded funny girl? Or is she going to be there to provide? And when she is talking with Kovich says this beautiful little thing, which I totally buy, where he says, when you guys came out of the past, none of us liked you or trusted you. And one of the main reasons was because you were so confident and happy. And And you got to remember trauma. You can't ever forget trauma. And really, I think that might be this whole season's, you know me, every week I've got a new theory of what this season's theme is.
It's all in the holodeck.
And, well, one of my themes
elsewhere
was,
style, man.
well, like last week, it was like all the good fathering. There are so many good fathers in last week's episode. In this week's episode, I feel like we've learned so much about trauma and how trauma changes people and how people didn't want to change, but the trauma that they didn't want came along and now it's moved everything. It's changed everything. We see that with Book. We see that with everybody. And it's very meaningful that people are trying to find a way to move on. And Tilly is not working from trauma as much as she's working from a lack of trauma now.
Oh, wow.
She has a certain health to herself, which she doesn't appreciate right now, but there's a certain comfort and a certain enthusiasm and a certain knowledge of what Starfleet is all about that she has that not a lot of people in Starfleet have right now. And Kovich actually says this to her.
I like it. And it totally makes sense. And she got her going away montage. I hope she does come back. But we've seen when people leave Discovery, they don't. So that's kind of hard to watch that and see that.
Can I tell you what I read in the press?
Tell me.
Because I ran to the press. You've got to reassure me.
Okay.
Nerd press. Mary Wiseman has done interviews specifically about this episode, and she says Tilly is still a series regular, and you are going to see her again.
Oh, great! That means there's probably a lawyer being like, "It's okay, you can say this." I'm glad, because I mean, not say it happened suddenly because there was an arc, but the montage was like it was like no audio, peace out on a spaceship. It was like, whoa, it was kind of quick.
Dude, I was floored. My jaw was on my lap watching that because I couldn't believe they were just so thoroughly removing her from Discovery, the ship. And so, yeah, I panicked big time. But it turns out she is probably, hey, Kirsten, she is probably going to be in a lot of meanwhiles. Meanwhile, back at HQ,
talks like a 40s radio announcer. But meanwhile, back at the summit,
Tilly, plucky Tilly.
So we got to go back to some real quick in the interest of time because I really wanted your opinions about this. Two questions. One, hey, we got a gong here. Isn't that cool? And two, the very nature of Starfleet and the VAR trying to goad Saru and Michael Burnham to me was the best of swerves I had seen in a long time. And it wasn't big, but it gave me just a hint of mystery. Like, well, is the Admiral really sick? Kind of a thing. The idea of doing this, knowing Michael Burnham could not stay quiet, Saru can't stay quiet, and weaponizing them for this issue. Thoughts about that?
Wow, this one was such a stealth mission. It looked boring from the outset. I believe they're told at the very beginning they just want you to stand there and smile and look official.
Yeah. and Michael Burnham's like, oh yeah, I'll show you.
Right. I got stuff to do.
Yeah.
It's really interesting too how is it the Chancellor? Who's the main lady for the Navarre? I gotta take notes on this stuff.
President Tarina.
God, she's amazing. I love her. She's got
her wig. Her wig is so distracting, but she's great.
It's a Klingon thing, man. The wigs are really bad on those page boys from space.
It's a lid, yeah.
Those are some rough. They're just hanging on a hat rack when they're leaving. And they just put it on. I loved her scenes with Saru. I love the very end where she's. I'm not doing it accurately, but it's like I was thinking going meditating, Saru.
I mean, let's be real. That Kelpian tea at the bar was kind of like.
There's a meet cute there.
Yeah,
there is some cute,
absolutely,
and that's lovely to see. Frankly, I love that. I want the Vulcans to be kind of different 900 years in the future. And by the way, we learned that a lot has changed in those 900 years, including the fact that the president, oh my gosh, is a Cardassian.
Yeah,
Flobo.
kind
The
of
president's
a
a
half
Cardassian.
breed. Is that official? Like mixed? Did you say mixed with alien races?
She said, your people had a war against the Bajorans and humanity. That's a lot of people.
I mean, let's be real. Like, as someone who got to DS9 pretty late, I was like, you guys are making no effort to make Kardashians look any kind of cool until like season 4. The first 2 seasons, like, we're Kardashians. You know what I mean? Like, it's rough.
Well, I mean, the thing about the Cardassians is they were always headed down. They're that culture that just can't maintain their top tier. And so they're always going to break down. They don't trust each other. They're always trying to kill each other. The leadership's always,
Sounds like
hurting people down below.
They're humans, man.
But that's always a great story to tell, because the empire on top, what ho, Britons, the empire on top does fall. And January 6th last year, I think we may have gotten a sneak preview of how that could work in this country.
The purge is real.
I'm telling you, man, things change in a very abrupt way. Life comes at you fast. So 900 years in the future, Bajor, humanity, and the Cardassians have produced our president. And she is a form of Cardassian. Yeah, she's a descendant of Cardassia. I actually kind of like that a lot. Kind of dig that. But she doesn't seem very reptilian to me, so that's kind of strange.
I mean, her patterns are flat, so I can see some of the softening of the features. I don't know. It's weird. Like, when talking about alien races, like, how am I alien racist? I have no idea. It feels like the softening of the features of all her stuff. Please don't cancel me. She's not real. Here's the question I have, though, about the actual nature of the dispute of the quote unquote exit clause. If you had to pick one or the other, if you were a Janeway there, John, which one seems fair? Is it okay to ask for immediate exit, or is it okay to ask for conditional enrollment?
This was a really good conflict, because you can see where they're both coming from. The Federation side says, look, if I give you an exit clause to just leave whenever, no commitment, then everyone's going to want one. That's true. And the way Starfleet is defined, the Federation is defined right now, is they can't have that. Pardon me. Really? They can't have that? They
We're in a rebuilding phase. Get the population back up. They've been doing LA Fitness before. Come on.
I mean, I get that. Like, if you've got a sports team, you don't want everybody being free agent.
Right.
You got to have commitments. You got to have people, buy in. Look, it might take us 10 years to get this thing off the ground. I can't have you deciding you want to leave after 1 year. That puts me way back. So I understand the Federation feeling that way. They need cornerstones on which to build, and Navarre would be huge.
Right.
If you think about the remains of the Vulcan and remains of the Romulan empires, it's very important that they be there. So I get it. And they do have a lot of power to say, nah, we kind of want to rewrite the rules here. So I understand that too. But then there's stuff about, we're going to look weak. We can't let them tell us what to do. Well, we can't let you guys be the bosses of us. Well, you have to. Well, we don't want to. And I get that. I get that. So they are at an impasse. It's real. I do see that.
Answer the question, John. See you waffling. Which one is it?
I hate to say, this is not an answer. I know this is not an answer. I would say what Burnham said, which is everybody gets an escape clause. Is that not what you said? Did I read that wrong? I was a little tired, maybe.
Well, I think Michael Burnham did the thing that we all do politically and say, I'll be the lobby group for both. Come to me, bro. I'll be the go-between.
And clearly that was the plan too. Like, the two main characters must have said, look, we got to have Burnham, because she is the person with a foot in both worlds. this also makes sense for the show because they do seem to want her and Rillick, the president of the Federation, to have an ongoing conflict relationship,
Right.
which I understand,
I
writer
understand that.
wise.
But is Burnham the right answer? I know for the purpose of Discovery, yeah, she said how she could qualify for all these walks of life, but you're wondering a Starfleet captain of a singular ship that already has problems with insubordination and insurrection 1,000 years ago is being given this giant account. I'm not saying Burnham can't do it, but how do you pitch that to investors or shareholders or what have you?
Well, I mean, the interesting thing about Burnham is her independence makes her attractive to the outsiders because they go, well, she's an independent. She's a free agent. She has done a lot on her own against the wishes. She does not obey
Yeah.
command, the top level command. So I want to think of myself, and it's so funny because we know so many people like this in our
Right.
real life who are like, I don't belong to any political side.
Ugh.
I'm an independent thinker. Well, Burnham is a true independent thinker because she's had to make her own calls a lot. That's why there's a TV show about her.
Yeah.
She's called a troublemaker, but only by the people who want order. And she understands to deal with chaos, you gotta have a little chaos in you.
Oh, that's right. Just a little shout out to Geek Renaissance, the sponsor of today's episode. My favorite quote of the week is from Saru, who goes, "Politics are not our place." That just sounds like it should be on a wall next to Spock or something. But Saru said it. I loved it.
Sit there and just do the needle point.
Yeah, exactly.
Politics
Politics
are
are
not
not our
our-
place. Because if you're on my page, no politics allowed. But
I
we're
hear
good. We're getting progress here. Navarre is a big get for this reboot of a
Huge.
Starfleet. But
Huge.
we still have some loose ends. And so what's your opinion on these loose ends? And the question I left off from last week,
Yeah.
being put to isolation, being sent by Navarre. Burnham still wants a little bit more closure. I think that may be something that may end up being something that bites them all in the collective behinds as the season goes on.
I hope you're right because that would mean that this pays off. What I hope we're not seeing with this storyline, and frankly with the Booker storyline, is I hope we're not seeing them go, look, we can't just settle this in one episode. We've got to
Right.
it's going to take a few episodes, but then we're going to settle it. I think people don't want it settled. I think people like this kind of stuff. I mean, look, I don't want Booker to be in torture forever, but he
Yeah.
has to be. He lost his entire planet and
How did
all
this
of
week
his
hit you
people.
though? How did this week work for you? The him and Cold War working together.
I like where it's going. I think it's interesting. I am looking for some kind of payoff that we're not seeing yet because the only payoff I'm seeing so far is we've never known Culber to be a counselor, but he is, and he's a good one.
The plot says so, baby.
and
Where's Dr. Pollard, by the way? Does she have a job? Like, does she still work?
I mean, she must. Well, she's the chief medical officer, right?
I think so. Yeah.
So she's running the medical department, and Culber's like this very talented freelancer, which is hilarious because he's such a lovable character. He's such a valuable central character, but not in the sense of his job.
Right.
It's in the sense of his relationship.
You're a jerk at work, but outside, cool guy. I gotta be with you.
It's like, that nurse practitioner over there, their story is interesting. Get the hell out of here, head surgeon. Dr. McCoy, no. But that really talented,
straight Grey's Anatomy.
second year resident over there is awesome. Let's follow him. And he is. I mean, honestly, he's one of my favorite actors on the show, one of my favorite characters. So I'm digging it. I dig that they're hinting that he's dealing with his own stuff. I think everybody on this ship, other than Saru, I think has really found a place. And that's very valuable. But
I disagree. Actually,
Oh,
it's great.
really?
Here's my next question, though.
Oh,
Because
hit me with that.
moving straight on, we see the appearance of Gray with a brand new mohawk. Huh? Sweet. Is down to meet new people, and here's someone who's not in Starfleet but gets to hang around on a ship. What's Gray doing, bro? Just aimlessly hanging out?
I mean, that's kind of freaky, right? I remember making a big deal last season out of the fact that Booker is on the ship and like he basically parks his van in the driveway and lives in it,
Yeah.
And like
Step by Step's Cody, right?
Exactly. It's so much like Cody. And so now, the partner of our ensign, and she's just an ensign.
Yeah.
I don't know. They do build the body, so they know that they know that Gray's there. They
Right.
know that Gray is part of the story. But I mean, is Gray part of the crew?
I would say yes, and I don't want to sound insensitive, but I would say yes because someone would have to sign off or agree to
Yeah.
do this. So I would assume he's property of Starfleet. He is a boyfriend. I assume he's property of Starfleet, but
Yeah.
it looks like it's totally used in a casual way. Is able to roam and meet people and do things as he pleases. So they are not part of Starfleet. So I'm a bit confused there. But
Yeah.
I talk about characters who don't have purpose right now. It's great. Gray needs something to do.
That's a good call. And frankly, I would not be disappointed if they decided that in one episode for Gray, because Gray is very confident and outgoing, and has all that he learned from having the previous hosts, even though he didn't have the symbiote for a long time. But he still has, I think, memory of all the memories. So, you know what I don't want to see?
Ooh, tell me what you don't want to see.
I do not want to see Neelix.
I don't see Neelix either. I don't know how that will work here.
So I don't want to see Gray turn out to be like morale officer or something.
Oh, yeah. Because, I mean, there's got downtime. We got to start with the captain's log, and we said, hey, look, people are stressed out. We all getting downtime. No morale officers.
Yeah. And that actually was really cool. I'm glad everybody was like, enforced time off.
As the Weird Al says, mandatory fun. That's
I love that. That's very Star Trek.
Yeah.
Like, no, you have to go play Sonic darts. You have to.
Right. Thanks, Starfleet.
Go to the holodeck and put on your Daniel Boone cap. You have to.
Right.
I mean, look, Gray is very likable. Gray will fit in somewhere. And, there have been civilians in the past on these ships. I don't think it's unheard of.
Right.
900 years in the future, I'm sure it's a lot more common. Because they don't have a lot of members of Starfleet now, do they?
I don't think so. It's still rebuilding, but there's no actual number or anything like that.
I think they mention in like episode 2 or maybe 3 that they are trying to get enough people to be crews on their ships.
Right.
And that's why in this episode, actually, Kovich says, look, we've had a lot of our member planets send us people, but that doesn't mean that these people are automatically going to be good. You have to push them. You have to train them. So Blue can be part of that. Gray can be part of that too. Different color, different kid.
Right.
And again, another actor I really love. So I certainly hope there's something valuable that they find for him to do.
Yeah, I think so too. And they not only takes a back seat, even though it's referenced a couple of times, but I'm sure he'll be back just in time for us to be like, oh yeah, dang. But
I'm okay with the this one's about DMA, this one's not, this one is, this one's not. I'm okay with that.
I'm just saying for sure you probably get something more next week about that particular.
I'm sure you're right.
But I like the fact that with the Summit took so many left turns. Because I know on Starbase 80, our sister show, we had a Summit episode just recently. But seeing that turn on its head and have a bit of a mystery like about the Admiral and his worm, where we're going to see it. Very clever way to write someone off to make sure you save that line in your budget for that actor. So I'm so glad that happened. But as we wind this down, John, I know predictions a little bit. What do you think is going to happen as we all head on to next week and the week after Star Trek Discovery?
Right. So we had personal stories this time. Usually it goes personal and then sort of universal and then kind of personal. So I'm guessing, I haven't looked at anything about next week, but I'm guessing when we get back to DMA, the dark matter
Anomaly.
albatross?
Anomaly.
Thank you.
Is it a bird? What?
It hangs around your neck like a curse.
I get it.
I mean, it is the big bad of this season, and I'm not in love with it. I don't love science. I'm more fiction.
I love it.
I'm more a fantasy guy, and so I do love all the characters and all the races and all the interactions. I love that stuff. So we got a lot of that in this one. We're gonna get lots more character. That's just Discovery. They give you a ton of character. Love it. But yeah, I think we're getting back to the DMA next week. That's just a prediction. I could be very wrong.
Oh yeah, I'm all about that life too. I actually like the science part of it, or I should say, when the science is involved, I think you look at things like new races or interactions from a little bit of a jaundiced step away look. That does it for me as a guy who's a big Green Lantern fan, and it's weird doing a show without my Green Lantern in the background. But I'll be back next week in Los Angeles to have it there.
How are you recharging your ring?
I don't know how I'm doing, man. I'm so thirsty. But yes, every Thursday right here on YouTube is Commander's Log, hanging out with Captain John, who's been so great to let me ask all the dumb questions as I navigate Star Trek Discovery, other parts of the Star Trek universe. John, if someone want to connect with you, man, and get your apple pie recipes, how to go about doing that?
You can find me on Facebook at Starbase 80. That's our page, Starbase 80. Of course, Flobo is my first officer on Starbase 80. So
Captain.
We'd love to see you, as Flobo mentioned at the beginning of the episode, Sundays, 2 p.m. on the East Coast, 11 a.m. on the West Coast. This week, we are doing Rejoined, one of the great episodes of Deep Space Nine, directed, by the way, by Avery Brooks, the man who plays Commander and Captain Benjamin Sisko. So there's also a big sweet girl kiss in it. I don't know if that's your sort of thing, but I gotta tell you, it's a good one.
I mean, I love all kinds of sweet kisses, but girl sweet kisses? All right, why not? Captain Brooks, Captain Sisko, top 3 for me, behind Michael Burnham, and my first ever Star Trek captain I've ever saw, Lorca. Remember that guy?
Lorca. Love that guy.
It's in his eyes, bro.
A little bit evil, but still.
A lot of it evil. Commander's Log, available on this channel, YouTube, and also the audio version. Let me know what you think. And you can help me out by becoming a member of our Patreon, patreon.com/FloboBoys. Bonus shows, bonus content, more cool stuff, and a blog. But I don't know, John, any last words before we get out of here?
I guess those are my words. Can you believe I was an improviser? Can you believe that? I could say things really quickly. We will see you next week.
Live long and prosper.
Live long and